There's a lot being said around the star lately, but one name has started to float to the top more than anyone expected, and it's not Dak. Not Micah, not even CD Lamb. We're talking about Care Elam. Yes, that Care Elam, the same cornerback, who couldn't quite find his groove in Buffalo, who went from being a first-round pick full of promise to someone shipped out for a late-round pick swap. But now, with just a few weeks of OTA action and mini-camp highlights, he's suddenly being mentioned as the Cowboys' biggest offseason surprise, and potentially their biggest winner so far. Now, at first glance, it might raise some eyebrows. A player who barely saw the field with the Bills, whose name didn't carry the same weight anymore, being labeled as a top performer by ESPN, that's not something you hear every day. But if you've been paying attention to what's actually happening in the early stages of the Cowboys' offseason program, this shouldn't come as that big of a surprise. Care Elam has taken full advantage of the opportunity that landed in his lap. And make no mistake, opportunity is exactly what it is. The Cowboys' cornerback room has been dealing with a storm of injury concerns. Trevon Diggs, the top guy, is still working his way back from a major knee injury. Rookie third-rounder Savion Redwell Jr., also recovering, hasn't been cleared for full participation either. Josh Butler is rehabbing, and Drew Booth Jr. has been in and out with some undisclosed issue. Even Kalen Carson didn't get in full reps. It's been a rough stretch for this unit health-wise. So what happens when the guys at the top are down? That's when the hungry ones start stepping up, and Elam, he's been feasting. Every time the media had access to practice during OTA letters or minicamp, there was Elam, breaking up passes, jumping routes, getting his hands on the football, and even snagging interceptions. And sure, some people might say, well, it's only OTA letters. But this isn't just a flash-in-the-pan moment. These are signs of confidence, sharpness, and preparedness. When your defense is thin and someone starts consistently making plays, you take notice. Coaches take notice. You start to hear things like, he's running with the receivers, or he's locking down the outside. That's not noise, that's substance, and it's been reflected in how the coaching staff is using him. He's been getting first-team reps. He's out there taking meaningful snaps and drills that matter. And right now, it looks like he's on track to start come week 1, especially with Diggs still not looking 100%. Darren Bland, who's likely sliding inside to handle nickel responsibilities, leaves the outside corner spot wide open. And Elam, right now, it's his job to lose. What's wild about this whole situation is just how fast it's turned. Coming into the offseason, Care Elam wasn't even in the conversation for the starting role. He was basically viewed as a flyer. A low-risk pickup hoping to rediscover some of the potential he showed back at Florida. The Bills never really found a way to make it work. Whether it was scheme, confidence, or just plain bad timing, Elam never clicked in Buffalo, but Dallas, they saw something different. The Cowboys reportedly had Elam graded very highly coming out of college. In fact, before he was taken in the first round by the Bills, Dallas was already eyeing him closely. When the opportunity came to get him for what essentially amounted to a late-round pick swap, they jumped on it, and so far, it's looking like that move might quietly become one of the steals of the offseason. The thing is, the Cowboys don't need Elam to come in and be a superstar. They're not expecting him to transform into Sauce Gardner overnight, or shut down guys like A.J. Brown every snap. That's not the bar. What they need, and what would make this trade a win, is someone who can give them reliable, consistent play on the outside. Someone who doesn't become a liability that offenses target every single week. Someone who can hold his own, make a few plays, and most importantly, avoid becoming a problem. That, in this context, would be a huge success, because let's be real, we've seen this movie before. The Cowboys have had seasons where the secondary became a revolving door. Remember when they were scrambling, throwing corners out there week after week just hoping somebody would stick. When Kelvin Joseph was getting starts. When they were pulling veterans like Xavier Rhodes off the street to try and patch things together. That kind of chaos in your secondary can sink a season, especially in the playoffs. That's exactly what Dallas is hoping to avoid. They want to solidify that cornerback room early, establish who the top guys are, and let them build chemistry. And if Elam can lock down that second outside spot opposite Diggs, or hold it down until Diggs is 100%, then he's done his job. He doesn't have to be perfect. He just has to be solid. Of course, it's still early. We haven't even gotten to the pads yet. Training camp is when things really get real. It's one thing to make plays in shorts and shells, and another entirely when the physicality ramps up, and the pace hits a different gear, but that doesn't take away from what Elam has shown so far. He's checked every box up to this point, and with the current state of the depth chart, he has a golden opportunity to keep stacking those performances. Now, if you followed his college career, this is the kind of player he should be. Coming out of Florida, Elam was viewed as a smart, physical, man-coverage corner with legit ball skills. He had the size, the speed, and the instincts to match up with top receivers. And while Florida corners haven't exactly had a great track record lately in the NFL, Elam looked like the exception. That's why he was drafted in the first round to begin with. That's why he was ranked in the top 20 on so many draft boards. And that's why it was so frustrating to see him fade into the background in Buffalo. Sometimes all a guy needs is a new environment, a fresh start, and a coaching staff that believes in him. That's what he has in Dallas right now. He's getting real coaching. He's getting reps. He's being challenged. And most importantly, he's responding. And look, nobody's handing him anything. The competition is still there. There are other young corners in the room like Izimu Kwamu, Kalen Carson, and even Andrew Booth Jr. once he's healthy. But none of those names have jumped out the way Elam has. While others have been sidelined or inconsistent, Elam has been steady. And in this business, steady matters. The Cowboys secondary isn't just looking for highlight reels. They're looking for answers. This team is built to compete now, with a top 5 defense, an experienced quarterback in Dak Prescott, and weapons all over the field. The margin for error is slim. If one weak link shows up in the secondary, teams are going to exploit it, especially come playoff time. And that's why Elam's emergence is such a big deal. You also have to credit the mental side of his game. For a player who's faced doubt, been labeled a bust by some, and shipped out of the team that drafted him, it takes real maturity and focus to lock back in and start producing. That's not easy. A lot of guys spiral after that kind of career setback, but Elam, instead, seems re-energized. He's out there looking like the guy who was once viewed as one of the top corners in his class. We're still early in the process, but right now, he's absolutely trending in the right direction. If he keeps this up through training camp and into the preseason, we might be looking at one of the sneakiest comeback stories of the year. Not just for the Cowboys, but league-wide. From forgotten first-rounder to potential CB2 on one of the NFL's top defenses, that's a real arc. And if he can just be steady, dependable, and stay on the field, he'll already be doing more than what most expected. So for fans asking whether it's time to buy in or hold back, look, it's okay to be cautiously optimistic. We've seen promising off-seasons before that didn't lead to anything when the real games began. But this situation feels different. Elam isn't being hyped because of reputation or draft pedigree. He's being noticed because of what he's actually doing on the field. The buzz around him isn't just media fluff, it's grounded in performance. What makes this even more fascinating is how the Cowboys coaching staff seems to be subtly shifting their tone around Elam. You can tell when coaches are just being polite about a player, saying the usual he's working hard or we like what he brings. But what's been coming out lately has a different tone. There's an undercurrent of real belief. The kind of belief that comes from watching a guy string together consistent reps, taking coaching, staying locked in, and most importantly, making plays when it matters, not just in the walkthroughs or warm-ups, but in the reps where matchups are live and competition is hot. Even veteran players are noticing. There's always chatter on the field. Who's bringing the energy? Who's chirping? Who's showing up? And for a guy like Elam, who was once the outsider in Buffalo and now has to prove himself all over again, that kind of respect from teammates is telling. It doesn't get handed out. You earn it with effort, attitude, and impact, and it's becoming clear that Elam isn't just earning a spot, he's earning trust. That's something far more valuable than just a depth chart ranking. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Rumors are swirling around the NFL as undrafted rookie Justin Barron has unexpectedly emerged as a starting defensive force for the Dallas Cowboys, sparking a potential revolution in their defense. What began as a low-profile signing has quickly turned into a hot topic among fans and analysts alike, as Barron's rapid rise hints at a major shift in the Cowboys' defensive strategy this season. Barron, who entered the league without the fanfare of a draft pick, seemed destined to be a depth player at best. However, his impressive performances during training camp and preseason games have apparently caught the attention of the coaching staff, earning him a spot in the starting lineup. Speculation is mounting that the Cowboys might have found a hidden gem in athletic, smart, and tenacious defender capable of elevating the team's defensive unit. Industry insiders whisper that Barron's explosive playing style has injected new energy into a defense that has struggled with consistency in recent years. His ability to read offenses, combined with quick reactions and physicality, may be exactly what the Cowboys need to shore up their defensive front. There is growing talk that this rookie's emergence could signal a new defensive identity for Dallas, one characterized by speed, aggression, and resilience. While nothing is confirmed yet, the buzz around Barron's impact cannot be ignored. Fans have taken to social media, expressing surprise and excitement over his quick transition from undrafted status to defensive starter. Some analysts speculate that his rise could force other teams to rethink their own evaluations of overlooked players in the draft and free agency. As training camp progresses, all eyes remain on Justin Barron. Will he sustain this unexpected breakout, or is this just an early season flash? The Cowboys coaching staff seems optimistic, and if the rumors hold true, Barron could be a cornerstone of the team's defense for years to come. For now, the NFL community watches with bated breath as this undrafted player quietly turns heads and ignites a defensive explosion in Dallas. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.